Hey, seventh graders, we have finished our chapter on chapter 5, which was all about the atmosphere. So we're going to review here, and then you'll have a test. So first, our vocabulary. Weather is the condition of Earth's atmosphere at a particular time and place. The atmosphere is the envelope of gases that surrounds the planet. Water vapor is water in the form of a gas. Density is the amount of mass in a given volume of air. Air pressure is the result of the weight of a column or air pushing on an area. A barometer is an instrument used to measure air pressure. A mercury barometer is an instrument that measures changes in air pressure, consisting of a glass tube partially filled with mercury, with its open end resting in a dish of mercury. An aneroid barometer is an instrument that measures changes in air pressure without using a liquid. Altitude is the distance above sea level, or elevation. The troposphere is the inner or lowest layer of Earth's atmosphere where we live. The stratosphere extends from the top of the troposphere to about 50 kilometers above. The mesosphere is the middle layer of the atmosphere. The thermosphere extends from 80 kilometers above Earth's surface outward into space and has no definite outer limit. The ionosphere is the lower layer of the thermosphere, begins about 80 kilometers above the surface and extends to about 400 kilometers. And the exosphere is the outer layer of the thermosphere, which extends from about 400 kilometers outward for thousands of kilometers. Electromagnetic waves are a form of energy that can move through the vacuum of space. Radiation is the direct transfer of energy by electromagnetic waves. Infrared radiation is a form of electromagnetic waves that have wavelengths that are longer than wavelengths for red light. Ultraviolet radiation is given off by the sun and an invisible form of energy with wavelengths that are shorter than wavelengths for violet light. Scattering is a process where dust-sized particles and gases in the atmosphere disperse light in directions. The greenhouse effect is the trapping of heat near a planet's surface by certain gases in the planet's atmosphere. Temperature is the average amount of energy of motion of each particle of substance. Thermal energy measures the total energy of motion in the particles of a substance. A thermometer is a device that measures temperature. Heat is thermal energy that is transferred from a hotter object to a cooler one. Convection is the transfer of heat by the movement of a fluid. Conduction is the transfer of heat between two substances that are in direct contact. A convection current is the movement of a fluid caused by differences in temperature that transfers heat from one part of the fluid to another. Wind is the movement of air parallel to Earth's surface. An anemometer is an instrument used to measure wind speed. Wind chill factor is increased cooling that a wind can cause. Local winds are winds that blow over short distances. Sea breeze is the flow of cooler air over an ocean or lake toward land, also called the lake breeze. A land breeze is the flow of air from land to a body of water. Global winds are winds that blow steadily from specific directions over long distances. The Coriolis Effect is the way Earth's rotation makes winds curve. Latitude is the distance from the equator, measured in degrees. Alright, then review from lesson 1. So our two key question answers. Earth's atmosphere consists of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, water vapor, and other gases, as well as particles of liquids and solids. Events in one part of the atmosphere affect other parts of the atmosphere. Nitrogen is the most abundant gas in the atmosphere, and air, wind, and energy are all events that affect other parts of the atmosphere. Lesson 2. Because air has mass, it also has other properties, including density and pressure. The two common kinds of barometers are mercury barometers and aneroid barometers. Air pressure decreases as altitude increases, and as air pressure decreases, so does density. Density equals mass divided by volume. The fewer molecules in a volume, the density is less. If there are more molecules in a volume, then the density is more. At higher altitudes, there is less air pressure, and it's also less dense at higher altitudes, so you become short of breath more quickly. Okay, lesson 3 was the layers of the atmosphere. So scientists divide Earth's atmosphere into 4 main layers, classified according to changes in temperature. Those layers are the troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, and the thermosphere. The troposphere is the layer of the atmosphere in which Earth's weather occurs. The stratosphere is the second layer and contains the ozone layer. The mesosphere is the layer that protects Earth's surface from being hit by most meteoroids. And the outermost layer is the thermosphere. And remember from vocabulary words, the thermosphere has 2 different layers also. Lesson 4, most of the energy from the sun travels to Earth in the form of visible light and infrared radiation. A smaller amount arrives as ultraviolet radiation. Some sunlight is absorbed or reflected by the atmosphere before it can reach the surface. The rest passes through the atmosphere to the surface. Earth's surface radiates some energy back into the atmosphere as infrared radiation. Lesson 5, air temperature is usually measured with a thermometer. Heat is transferred in 3 ways, convection, conduction, and radiation. And it's transferred mostly by convection within the troposphere. 2 different types of temperature measures, Celsius and Fahrenheit. Celsius, boiling is at 100 degrees, freezing at 0. That's used by most countries. Fahrenheit is boiling at 212, freezing at 32, and that's used by the United States. To convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius, you take the Fahrenheit temperature minus 32 and then divide it by 1.8 and you get the Celsius temperature. And radiation, conduction, and convection work together to heat the troposphere. And then lesson 6. Differences in air pressure cause the air to move. Most differences in air pressure are caused by the unequal heating of the atmosphere. The unequal heating of Earth's surface within a small area causes local winds. Like local winds, global winds are created by the unequal heating of Earth's surface, but unlike local winds, global winds occur over a large area. As the winds blow, Earth rotates from west to east underneath them, making it seem as if the winds have curved. So in the northern hemisphere, they tend to go to the right, and in the southern hemisphere, they tend to go to the left. So that's it for the review. Make sure you go back and check something if you're unsure about it. Otherwise, your assignment is to complete the Edmodo questions for the Chapter 5 test. Make sure you read each question carefully and then select the best answer. One change is that this assignment is actually going to be due tomorrow, Wednesday, because Thursday is Thanksgiving and we do not have school. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, get working on the test.